Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have made it once again to another episode of Pickup Lines. It is the talk show in a car. I always enjoy the conversations, and I suspect today will be no different. We have Demonte Alexander here with us, who is, at present, the Managing Director of Public Affairs at Bridgewater Consulting Group. We've known each other a little bit over the years. First of all, thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Ran into you the other day at the U.S. Army Ball.
Yes.
So thank you for your military service.
You're welcome.
First and foremost, too, which we'll get into in just a little bit. But you're one of those guys I have kind of admired from a distance on social media, on LinkedIn over the years. I'm like, that guy is doing some impressive things. And he knows everybody, right?
Don't know everybody, but I've been blessed to be on some
your way.
Pretty significant projects, which allowed me to dabble in different circles. Shout out to LSA, by the way.
Leadership San Antonio.
Yeah,
yes, I can't tell you how many LSA people, grads have sat in that seat, and they're all impressive people. Yeah. So let's just start. We talked about Bridgewater Consulting. How, in the simplest elementary terms, do you explain what do you do for a living?
So I've always been in the public affairs space, public relations, public affairs, and when it comes to Bridgewater, they manage and consult utility companies. We're in 42 utilities across the country, and we just want to help them reach utility excellence, whether that's, utilities about people. We come in and as experts to come in and see how we can help them save costs, save money, cut costs for customers, and with that years of experience that we have across the country, we're able to come in and provide a good range of expertise and guidance as utilities are trying to modernize their grids for the future.
So he does that, and KSAT viewers might be looking at him and be like, I know that face. Where do I know that face from? I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that you are very familiar with the KSAT building. You've been on the air in recent days and weeks as it relates to the election coverage. So does that make you like a political consultant, or what is your title as it relates to that? Government affairs?
I think it's an analyst.
Analyst? Okay.
More than anything, I like to think of myself as a political thought leader.
Yeah.
I've been with the KSAT partnership for about 5 years.
Yeah.
When we created Fax many years ago. And that relationship just blossomed, and after Fax sunsetted, the team wanted me to continue to come on, obviously with Kevin, Molly, and now Anna Ramon.
Yes.
And so we've kept it going.
Kevin Wolf, Molly Cox, correct?
Right.
Yeah. No, we were watching during the runoff and the election and everything, and you guys pulled some long hours.
Yeah.
I know. And we're not going to get into politics here, so don't worry, but just want to acknowledge the fact that you've obviously, no, not today, not on this show, not on this show. That would be a whole other show. Where were you born? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in a small town outside of Nashville called Gallatin, Tennessee. It's probably like from here to San Marcos in terms of distance. That's where I grew up. I'm the oldest of 8. Oldest of 10. I have 8 sisters and 1 brother.
And where are you? You said you're the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
Oh,
yes.
My gosh. How did you survive with all those sisters and
all
those kiddos in the house?
I would say that they were a big reason why I'm here.
Really?
After I graduated high school, really didn't have much going on. My mother dropped out as a sophomore, my father as a freshman, and so there really wasn't a lot of guidance in terms of, hey, what's next and what that looks like. I joined the military because I didn't know what a community college was until after, and I didn't join the military because of duty and honor and all that's great and everything.
Right.
I was hungry and I was broke. So I saw those Be All You Can Be commercials, and I was like, man, I wonder if that's something that's for me. And so I walked in the recruiter's office and said, hey, can you guys send me somewhere? And they said, well, did you graduate? I said, yes, sir. And they jumped across the table and said, well, we can have you out here in 2 weeks. And that's what happened.
So you finished school?
Yes.
High school?
Yes.
But neither of your parents did?
None of my parents did, no.
Right. So your Father's Day just passed recently, and I know you had posted on social media something to the effect that you did not have a consistent father figure in your life, which I'm sure has impacted how you parent now. But what is your father still around?
My father's still around. I tear up a little bit.
I'm sorry, brother. I'm not trying to.
It's okay.
I'm just.
It's okay. So my father, a lot of the insecurities that I have today are come from my childhood, obviously. Insecurities when it comes to my children.
Yeah. And
so I overcompensate a lot. I'm very OCD about showing up and being present, and so that comes from not having any of that, right? Look, I've learned over the years that they knew what they knew with the information they had, right? They were me in their situation with their parents. And so even though me understanding that, it still takes it's still hard to get through.
Yeah, here,
get through
let me get you. So man, I do come prepared just in case. I'm not looking to make anybody get emotional, but I appreciate you being candid about that. So essentially, you were trying to break the cycle then.
I don't want to say try. It's just something that happens.
Yeah.
It's just like a cause and effect type of thing. But obviously, you want to break the cycle. You want better for your kids. You want to leave a better legacy than what we all as parents want our kids to better than what we've had. And so I just try to do that every day. Like I said in my post, I'm not perfect. I mess up a lot. I learn a lot from my kids, believe it or not. It's hard raising I have a 13-year-old and a 5-year-old, so there's a huge gap there. But they all challenge me in each of their own individual ways.
Yeah.
My oldest is I'd say she's the dog, my oldest is the dog. My youngest is a cat.
Okay.
The oldest wants all the affection, all the love.
Right.
The youngest one says, "Don't touch me. I'll come to you for 2 minutes." And so but they've taught me a lot, and I've really learned to embrace that. I am writing a book right now. It's called Marching Double Time, where I talk a lot about my father and the 3 times that I've met him in my entire life, and the different times that I've met him and what that's meant to me. My relationship with my mother, which is still strained as well. So it's a double whammy, right? But I write that, and I'm currently writing that in my book right now, and it gives me an opportunity to talk about the military. You mentioned the military.
Yeah.
So it's called Marching Double Time. I've always felt like I've been behind my peers growing up, and so marching double time was something I always felt like I had to work faster, and I had to do more, and I had to do extra just to be par with my peers. And so the book talks about my military experience, coming from a war zone back, transitioning from a war zone, transitioning out of the military, while dealing with the traumas of not having a lot of leadership growing up.
So you had to grow up really fast.
I did.
And you were the father figure, I would think, for your siblings.
I think I was, and I still am in some cases, because we were all raised by the same mother. We had a single mother. My mom had boyfriends here and there. And there was some abuse there. As a child, I had to hear those fights with my mom and grown men, and so I'm very, that's why I'm very supportive of folks who protect women and protect the shelters and things like that. I grew up with that, and it's still something that I think about every day.
Oh man, it's heavy stuff. But I mean, you clearly have, and none of us are perfect, right? To find me a perfect parent out there, and but I mean, it seems like you've come out the other side, and you've done really well. You got 2 beautiful kiddos, you said?
Yeah, I think what changed for me, I used to teach Latin dance, so I felt like I had to do a lot of things just to make it. Since out of the military, I felt kind of lost, and my girlfriend at the time, or now current wife, kind of gave me 2 years to do whatever, like just supported me, whatever it is. I was working at Broadway Bank for, I went into real estate after the military.
Okay.
And I always wanted to be a real estate agent, and then the market crashes, 2008, 2009.
Sure. Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so I was like, great, my luck. I get out of the military, they're telling me what to do, where to go, and I finally get to do what I want to do. Market crashes, so I go to Broadway Bank.
Yeah.
Long story short, I helped Broadway Bank. I was one of the individuals who helped Broadway Bank develop their app, their first mobile app. They were losing customers to all the other ones who had online banking.
Sure, of course. Yeah.
So I was part of a hand-picked group of folks who did the research to help Mr. Googe at the time.
Okay. And
the team decided they wanted to go with the app. After that, I didn't want to be a banker, so I taught Latin dance and learned and got into golf for a couple of years. All
right, well, that's a great place to take a time out here. We'll catch our breath with everything. Just getting started with Demonte Alexander, man. Some heavy stuff, but man, this is life, right? We all have these moments, these life moments, and I'm so grateful that he's willing to share. This is Pickup Lines with Demonte Alexander. We'll be back here in just a little bit. Don't go away. We are back here on Pickup Lines, the talk show in a car, having a pretty candid conversation with Demonte Alexander, talking about, I knew you were a golf enthusiast, but the salsa dancing the Latin dancing I had no idea about.
Yeah, so in the military, now I come from a town where you're black, white, Mexican. Okay. So when I joined the military, I'm mixed with Cubans, Puerto Ricans, folks from Honduras, Japan, all over the place. So I'm like, who are all these people and where is that, right? Right. And so my roommate at the time was Puerto Rican.
Okay.
And I used to go with him to the little Latin clubs, and he would go dance.
In Tennessee?
No, this was at Fort Hood. I'm sorry.
Oh, when you were stationed in Fort Hood. Okay, yeah.
So I've been in Texas longer than I've been in Tennessee.
Got it. Okay.
I claim Texas. I'm a Texan.
I get it. Yep.
Even though I love my volunteers.
Tennessee volunteers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I used to go with him, and I used to sit down and just have a drink while he goes does his thing, and he's dancing. I'm like, what is that? He goes, oh, it's salsa. It's part of our culture. And I was like, oh, I was just so fascinated. And I actually took up lessons, and so we would drive, me and my buddy, we would drive from Killeen all the way to San Antonio with Lee Rios from Seminea, and we learned how to salsa dance.
Get out of here.
It would be a 2.5-hour drive, so we would leave Friday afternoon after work, and we wouldn't come back till Sunday morning. I'm running to formation, like trying to make it to formation.
Literally running.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I got into Latin dance, and it became like a career for me. I hosted Latin dance events here in San Antonio. I was one of the promoters for Latin dance in San Antonio for a while. And then, you got a question?
Well, no, I was just going to say, so when you came to San Antonio, did you come because of the military or because of work, or what was it that ultimately brought you here, and when was that?
Very good question. So when I was in Iraq, I was S1 or HR. Mm-hmm. And when you deploy, you don't really have a job more than just patient admin when you're in HR. And so my colonel said, hey, he was short on security. I ended up being a gunner for the colonel.
Oh, okay.
And he says, hey, look, when we get back, I'll take care of you. I didn't know what that meant at the time. But hey, let's just do your job, be a good soldier. When we get back, I'll take care of you. So when we got back, he called to Fort Sam, and there was one position open for active duty E5, which is a sergeant.
Okay. And
he called and got that position for me.
Wow.
And that's how I got to San Antonio in 2005 with the only spot open. And that's how I got here.
Were you familiar at all with San Antonio other than the dancing? And I mean,
I just knew it wasn't Killeen.
Right. That is respectfully, that's true. Yeah.
And in Killeen, I was there 6 years, and so you have no skyline. It's just the largest army base in the country.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're just dirt and
in every direction,
and there's no buildings, anything.
Right.
So in San Antonio was obviously where I found dance, and so so once I learned how to dance, I was getting all excited, and then ended up deploying in the middle of that. So
right.
I was devastated. And so after we came back from Iraq, I said, you know what? If I get a chance, I'm going to go to San Antonio. And he asked me, and he did that for me. So that was 2005.
It worked out. And ultimately, the kids came along. Your bride came along at some point.
Yeah,
and all that.
I never wanted to start a family in the military. We had a 75% divorce rate.
That's so hard, right? I mean, it's so hard.
I vowed to myself to never do that. I met my wife in 2010 while dancing.
Here in San Antonio?
I was hosting my very last dance event. I was exiting the dance industry.
Oh.
She was She was taking lessons. She was just getting into dance.
Right.
I was leaving.
Right.
But I was hosting my Latin dance event at the studio where she was teaching. And so we met.
In Killeen or here?
Here in San Antonio.
Okay.
And we met. We went on our first date in August of 2010. And we've been together every single day since. We have the same birthday, by the way.
You're kidding me.
Same birthday, November 13th. All the Scorpios. Shout out to Scorpios.
My daughter's the 15th, so I got one at home. Good for you. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And so you did, was it 10 years in the Army?
I did 10 years in the military. I exited. I spent 6 years at Fort Hood. Got to went to Iraq. Came to San Antonio after a couple of years here in Fort Sam. The Army does a reorganization every now and again, and they went back to Fort Hood, and I was like, okay. I'm done. I'm not going back there. And so I had an option to get out of the military, which I did.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And do you miss that life?
We were just at the Army ball. And I was just telling my wife.
Uniform still fit, by the way.
Hey, it looks good, doesn't
it? It looked amazing.
But I would say that I do miss the military. I miss the camaraderie. I miss being part of something that huge.
Right.
I don't miss the 6 o'clock formation calls. I don't miss waiting for hours in line. I don't miss a lot of the other things that come with it. So it's give and take, that nostalgia of being around everything, but then reality hits you like, okay, I'll get out for a reason. But I was a soldier, and I think if it wasn't me being part of First Cav, which is love being part of that unit.
Right.
It's a combat unit, right? They deploy every year.
Yeah.
It's a cycle, and I didn't want to be part of that cycle. And I decided to get out of the military.
So you made the most of your time here in San Antonio early on. I know you spent some time at City Hall and doing different things, and it's an impressive list. What was it that drew you to that city government, the politics, the analyst, if you will, those kinds of things?
I see why you're good at what you do, man. You ask great questions.
Oh, thank you.
So I can see a pivotal change in my life. And so obviously I'm in dance and playing golf and living it up. And one day I realized, dude, you're an adult. You're a man. Grow up. You can't be out all night. And I sought mentorship. And that person was Joe Linson. So Joe Linson saw something in me and says, man, I think you'd be a great public servant. At the time, this was Alan Warwick was there. And he needed a...
former city councilman.
Former city councilman needed a communication director because of Akeem Brown. I went over to East Side, East Point.
Yes.
And
District 2, right?
District 2.
Yeah.
And so I went in and we met at Ponchos and Gringos on the East Side every Sunday. My first book was Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and he goes, hey, look, this would be good for you. And Joe kind of helped me lay out. He says, what the most profound question was, where do you see yourself in 3 to 5 years? No one had ever asked me that in 20, 30 years, right? And it just changed my whole life and perspective about who I could be, who am I, what are my values and things like that. And it pushed me to City Hall. I was going to run, the goal was for me to run for office in about 4 years. But I need to go, learn the ropes, and once I got there, I realized that's not what I want to do.
Okay.
But I do love being involved. I do love the campaign side of it, and I do love the strategy side of it. So I pivoted to managing, city council races, state house races. I was Judge Wolf's, obviously, last campaign manager, which was a great experience. I
thought you were going to announce a run for office here on the show, man. Break some news for me, man.
No, never going to do that.
All right. Well, we still have more to get to here with Demonte Alexander, the Managing Director of Public Affairs for Bridgewater Consulting Group, and a lot more here. We have a few more minutes with him when we come back here on Pickup Lines. Don't go away. Continuing here on Pickup Lines with Demonte Alexander, I want to ask you about the golf here in just a minute, but I read something about your grandmother, Mary. And I guess it was when you were starting up at LSA a few years ago, and somebody asked, was it to describe your attitude or your feelings in one word, and you said the word seat.
Oh, man. Oof, we choked up about that, too.
Seat.
This was during a time, I think LSA, obviously one of the most, if not the most prestigious leadership program. Yeah. And not to knock any of that.
Because there are some great ones out there. Yeah.
I think at the time there was not a lot of participation for men who looked like me. And in that time, there's always a word bubble at the beginning of the opening session.
Right, like an icebreaker type thing.
Yeah. What does this mean to you? And the only word I could think of was seat. I was so grateful to be in that seat and to represent black men in this program. And so, and I was curious of why it even stood out, because the bubble gets bigger the more people who select the word. Right. So for them to pick it was very small. Right. And they said, Demonte, well, why did you pick seat? And I got up and explained to the class on what this opportunity meant for me and how thankful I was, number one, but what it meant for everyone else after me to participate and what that means for our culture. And throughout that whole year, everyone was just always came up to me and said, man, thank you for speaking up. Thank you for saying that. That really changed my perspective about the class. And it was such a really good experience. That definitely a pivotal moment in my life as well.
So to put a little more context, this is your quote, describing your grandma Mary. You said, quote, baby, when you get a seat at the table, you better speak up, represent, uplift those who don't have the same privilege, end quote.
Yes. And I think that's when I was a columnist at the SA Report.
Right.
So this was during the KSAT Rivard Report, Bare Facts Partnership. Yeah. And Bob Rivard, former of the SA Report, reached out and said, hey man, we're missing your voice. We're missing your voice in the paper. And I was like, well, what does that mean, Bob? He goes, well, I want you to write for us. And I said, well, shit, I don't know how to write. He goes, well, we have editors. Don't worry about that. Bob. And he says, I just want you to write what you're feeling. If you're angry, if you're pissed off, you're happy, just want you to write about it. Send it to us. We'll edit it. And that's when I really I learned a lot of respect for journalists and for writers, because it takes so much research, but you read so much before you even put one word down. Right. And what her words meant to me, and I sometimes always go back and read it, because as you grow and achieve things, your views and values change a little bit. Right. And so for me, I felt myself moving more towards the middle, more towards a pragmatic thinker, and when I come from a left side of things, right? And when I went back and read that, sometimes I question my values a little bit in terms of what I believe in politically. But when I go back and read some of those, I read her words, and I read some of the articles that I wrote during that time.
Yeah,
it brings me back to who I truly feel I am, and it's representing people who are underserved, who don't have a voice, who don't have opportunity, which is why I created Blackbird Golf. That's what I do in golf right now with the scholarships. So we've been doing that for about 5 years. And it's a scholarship catered to local graduating seniors who've been accepted by universities. I know that's a lot.
That's it.
So it's a $10,000 scholarship. So what it does, it gives them $2,500 disbursements for 4 years. We just had our first graduate from Our Lady of the Lake, Annabelle Reyna, who just graduated. Go Rattlers. And you always just
I love it. That's great.
It's been one of the most, outside of my family and my kids, it's one of the most rewarding things that I'm doing, man, and it's really fulfilling.
Right. So Blackbird Golf. So is it apparel too?
It started off as apparel. During 2020. Started off as apparel. E-commerce is just a nightmare, especially when you have a full-time. You got to be completely focused on that. And so what I decided to do was like, hey, let's sunset that, but I want to keep the scholarship. And so we're partnering with the Cameron Champ Foundation. Work with Jeff Champ. Cameron Champ went to Texas A&M. Not Hookem, but what is it?
Gig'em.
Yeah, Gig'em. There you go. So he's on the PGA Tour right now. But we partnered with his dad. Now they do this scholarship nationally.
Yeah.
But in San Antonio, San Antonio, if we raise money here, that money better stay here. And I said, look, Jeff, I can do this in San Antonio, but we got to give it to local kids with local money. And so we've been doing that 5 years. This year we're at TPC, October 6th at TPC San Antonio. It's
like a golf tournament or fundraiser?
It's a golf tournament that raises money for the scholarship. So there's no operating cost. It all goes into the scholarship.
And those, I worked on organizing golf tournaments before. Those are no small undertaking.
No, they're not. And this year's the most risk that we have, because TPC is not cheap, right? And so you got to make sure that you have great people coming in, which we do have some wonderful partners that came in this year that I'm going to announce here soon. But Mia Arroyo, she went to Holmes High School. Okay. She's the one who received the scholarship this year. Huskies, I think it's Huskies.
Yeah, that's right. They are the Huskies. That's right.
But she was this year's recipient. She's top 6 in her class, and she's going to I think Southern.
That's fantastic. Yeah. How often do you play? You're a good golfer.
I'm pretty decent.
Yeah. No.
I play. Well, Mark, if you're listening to this, my boss.
Okay.
No, I play about 3 times a week.
After he's done with work every day, of course, when he plays.
About 3 times a week.
No, that's fair. Well, you got to practice that and everything. Man, I mean, you have a lot on your plate. Do you have room for anything else?
I tell people, I just look busy. I'm really not that busy. A lot of the stuff that I do is just intellectual knowledge. It's really just providing counsel, providing advice, doing things that I would already do. My job with Bridgewater is just to make sure that our name is in the community, that we're showing up in the community where we're needed. And a lot of that's meetings, that's events. We're CPS Energy's top sponsor for both of their Grills Giving event and also their golf tournament.
Yes.
So we're very involved that way. And so I don't think it's busy. It's what I would be doing anyway if I didn't work for Bridgewater.
So would you ever rule out a run for public office? Or consider, I guess I should
get asked this question all the time, and I keep telling people no. But honestly, man, I think there is an opportunity, if I did, maybe at a state level, maybe a state house.
Okay.
But that's down the road. They don't make a lot of money, so you got to make sure that you're
that
financially secure. And so I think if I, just being completely honest, I think if I ever did, and this is probably, I'd just give myself a 20% chance maybe. But if I ever did, it would be kind of in that realm.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is, Ernie, is because policy impacts people. Mm-hmm. And in order to help people, you got to be able to change that policy. And a lot of ways you can do that is at the legislative level. Now, obviously, we understand the makeup of Texas and this place, but I think that's where real change can be made. Not that we can't make it locally. We were talking about potholes and infrastructure, and did my trash get taken out and dogs. But I'm talking about on the legislative side. I think I'd be open to something like that. But I'm saying no, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Well, that would take you away from your kids too.
Yeah, unless they wanted to join.
on the campaign trail and come up to Austin and everything. Well, listen, I've no doubt. Well, you could pursue whatever you want. I think you'd be a phenomenal success and everything. So, I'm just thrilled. Like I said, you know, we've kind of crossed paths a few times over the years, and I've always been impressed by people who have spoken of you and just things I've read about you and everything. And man, I'm thrilled for you and all your success.
Well, thank you. I think I'm very blessed and highly favored. I think there's a lot of people that I owe a bit of gratitude to. Christian Archer, who taught me everything about politics or strategy side. TC Calvert, Tommy Calvert's dad, who got me into organizing. And so there's just so many people who's helped me to get to where I am, but none more than my wife, who's been just solid as a rock, man, through ups and downs and doubts, and she's just always been there to say, hey, I got you, you can do this, and that's very helpful.
We could do a whole segment on her, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, she's at Pre-K for SA, by the way. Shout out Dr. Beret, Pre-K for SA.
Okay. She's an educator.
She's a behavior specialist. She's been there for about 8 years. Yeah.
My late mother was an educator and worked in schools, so I have a soft spot in my heart for that and for the military and all those things as well. So I know you're good people, Demonte.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
So great to visit with you. Thank you for sharing and everything.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that. There you have it. Demonte Alexander, the Managing Director of Public Affairs for Bridgewater Consulting Group. But again, so much. Again, his business card is this big. Like it's huge. It's humongous. It's another one of those people like get in here and I say their cards have to be this big because they've got so many titles and accomplishments and everything. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, there you have another episode of Pickup Lines, the talk show in a car. We'll be back again very soon. You never know who will be here, but the stories and the conversations are always insightful and pretty compelling if you ask me. Until next time, I'm Ernie Zuniga. Have a fantastic day.